like
was E minor. But this is very nice.
Yeah.
Was this anybody in particular famous playing it?
No, I pulled it off of a piano sleep album on Spotify.
Oh,
When you said E minor, are you maybe thinking this?
yeah.
Yeah, oop, I'm poor right there. But, okay, so that's the prelude that you're thinking of.
Yeah, prelude, yeah.
Yeah. But just actually a little bit about the set of pieces that Chopin wrote. Does anyone know anything about them? Or anything about his etudes in general?
I can take a while, yes.
What are etudes for? What do you know?
To take towards study.
Yeah, right?
So study of, if they're studies of studies of certain melodic ideas.
Ooh, yeah, right. So etude literally translating to a study or something, right? So Andrew, what would be an etude that you've played before? What was it for?
Well, like Musser etudes for percussion. Like you play the Musser etudes and it'll like help you work on a particular like scale set that's like hard on your keyboard, or like a certain rhythmic motif.
Yeah, excellent. Rhythmic motif, absolutely. Kevin, what about you?
Charlier 36 etudes for trumpet. They're like he writes them. Some of them are like for style, some of them are for articulation, some of them are for like soft playing, loud playing.
Yeah. Would you ever perform any of these etudes, or are they?
Yeah,
purely
studio
for-
class.
They're for performance.
Yeah,
a lot
like
of times they're for like auditions.
The Charlier ones are made to you can play them like without like accompaniment, and like people actually make CDs like performing them.
Ooh,
So, yeah.
nice. What's the name? I don't know the composer. Who's
CHARLIER.
Sharp.
Yeah, Charlier.
Charlier.
Yeah.
Ooh, trumpet. Okay. Hold it. And what was? I didn't recognize your composer either.
Musser, M-U-S-S-E-R.
A whole nother music world I know nothing about.
But in Chopin's case, he was just trying to cover himself for experimenting.
Yeah.
He didn't want to be bound by forms, and he was experimenting with modulating from key to key to key to key.
Yeah, absolutely, right? So, etude, I mean, prior to Chopin, and a lot of, I think, it's interesting that Kevin and Andrew saying that for the Charlier Musser,
Musser.
Musser, that they can also be used on the performance stage, right? Because way back when I'm talking Czerny, etudes came across as, or Czerny or Hanon, it's this that. Right, so where you're practicing just your fingers, or it's an articulation that you're working on, or it's a finger pattern that you're working on, and it's very digital, it's not musical, right? And so then with Chopin, with his etudes, he says, well, why does a technical exercise need to be a musical? That's against everything that we're trying to do as musicians. So then he wrote his etudes, and where for the piano world, they became, people will perform these on stage. And what's insane is people will perform an entire program of all 24 Chopin etudes. It's absurd because they're really, really hard. They're beautiful pieces, like the one that we heard today, but they're so hard. And literally for them to go through all 24. I learned a handful of them. I certainly wouldn't go on stage and play 24 of them, but again, I'm not a concert pianist. Right? So he wrote two sets. So he wrote an Opus 10 and an Opus 24. No, Opus 25. And so there were 12 pieces, 12 etudes in each one, and he just chose keys that he liked. And there's certain ones that will work on a particular skill, right? There's one that is, this is one that my first etude I learned, and it's burned in my brain. I cannot get it out no matter what. My fingers will just go. I don't even know what it is that I'm playing. But this one was working on wrist flexibility, right? And so getting to stretch your hands out in a smooth octave and having it sound pretty, right? And this is Opus 25, number 1, the opening. stuff. I wish I had a way of, an easier way of showing you guys what my hands were doing. Because then both that one was absolutely, my hands are doing this mirror motion, right? But then also at the same time having one melody note stick out above all of that busy stuff, right? And so that's, the entire piece is written like that. And he's just taking harmonies and moving his way through it. Right, so again, very much a technical, let's work on bring out your fifth finger while you can keep everything else soft and pretty and pedal changes, right? But very performable pieces. Right? So I hope you guys check some of them out. Some of them I don't like. I just don't like the character of them. And of course, that's my own feeling. And then there's some that are just, there's one that's titled The Revolutionary Etude. Right, so just really bombastic, and it sounds like a revolution is happening. Absolutely. There's one called Winter Wind, right, where really fast and just kind of fun stuff. So that's what we were listening to. I'll have to check out some of these. Charlie and Musser. I was going to say Mooser again. Musser. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. Okay, so. Actually talking about technique and etudes, let's get our brain into working with the pedal a little bit. So let's going to take a look on page 33. So on Thursday, for the few that were here, what we actually did is we went into one of the professor's studios with the Steinway Grant, and we had a chance to look at the pedals and kind of talk about, well, what does the damper pedal do? Why is it called the damper pedal? What does the soft pedal do? And also, what does the assisted neuter pedal do? All right. So if I'm tossing some words out about the pedal that you're not sure of, just come chat with me afterwards. I'd be happy to show you. It's a lot easier to show you than it is to tell you what it does, because it's a sound effect that these pedals do. But for now, so go ahead and, so we're talking, when musicians will say pedal, they're referring to the one on the farthest right. It's the one that is most used, all right? And so go ahead and have your foot over it. Right, I've seen most of you guys play around with the pedal in class when we're playing things, which is great. So one of the things you want to make sure your heel's on the floor, right? Even when you're pressing it down, it's just like you're driving a car. You wouldn't tiptoe on the gas pedal. You don't tiptoe on the piano pedal, on the damper pedal. Alrighty. Okay, so you actually should follow my words. So in terms of when you're releasing and when you're pressing them back down. Okay, so go ahead and press down. Release all the way, and press it back down. This time release halfway, and press it down. Come up halfway, back down, up halfway, back down. Now we're going to release halfway and press back down faster, so it's going to be up, down. Go, up, down. 3, 4, up, down. 4, up, down. 3, 4. Right, so I can hear some thumping. Right, so see if you can do it without thumping. So if you do a half pedal change, you should be able to do it without any thumping. Because then if I lift my foot off, it's going to give that thump. So when you do an up down, it's almost like a foot twitch, if you will, because it's got to be quick so that your sound, it catches your next sound. Up down, up down. So keep that in mind. Go and put your headphones on. So I'm happy to do it in your headphones because you need to be able to hear your own pedaling, and that's what you're reacting to, right? So yes, we see pedal markings on the page, but without listening, without engaging our ears, your pedaling will never be where it needs to be, all right? So over the pedal, you can even use, well, we'll use a pentascale. Let's use a G major pentascale. All right. And so for that starting off, it actually doesn't really matter how you start, whether you want to start with your first note. Whether you want to start the pedal with your first note or after or before, it's all just fine. You just have to start. Okay. So you start with your first note, pedal. Okay. And then when you're ready to play your second note, as your finger goes down, your pedal's gonna go up and down at the same time. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so notice how my changes are fast. If my changes are slower, something like this might happen. There might be a slight break if I don't time it fast enough. Okay, so here's once more with the fast changes. So you get a lot smoother sound. So you're gonna do that once more. You're gonna play. I'm just gonna count for you and say the up, down, and see if your foot can react with my voice. So 1, 2, 3, play. 1, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2. Make it a little bit quieter. 1, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, 2, 3. I lost track of which note you guys were on, but that's the right idea, right? So while it's a fast motion, you want to stay calm with your pedal changes so that your foot doesn't get too excited and make a sudden jerking motion, right? Because it's still a very much a smooth up, down, 2, 3, 4, up, down, all right? So then if you look at the pedal marking on page 33, it's exactly what it looks like, right? It just kind of goes, and then boop. It just looks like a heartbeat, heart monitor, boop. So it is a very smooth gesture in our pedaling. All right, let's take a look at item B on that page. Okay. Just have reposition triads. They're all white keys. We have some major, some minor. I'm going to try through that, those chords, focusing on your pedal changes. Deidre, so you are lifting your foot with your hand to keep her. So you hear it. You hear it. You go, oh, wait, no, keep this down. Because then your hand has to move, right, to get
Right.
from chord to chord. That's what our pedal's for, so that we can lift our hand and yet the sound
still
is
have
going to
the
keep
sound.
ringing. Mhm. Keep your down, hold, up, down, hold. So you want to hold on to it. Okay, so see here, now's the time where I'm seeing some people, yes, you're very smooth with it, you've been playing piano before, that's excellent. And then some who are going, okay, I know what I want, but my hand and foot want to do the same thing at the same time, okay, so they're losing it. Right, because the whole idea of the pedal is that it can carry your sound so that your hand can come off the keyboard to get to the next chord. Right, so then also it sounds like you're still holding onto the note, even though physically you're already moving on to the next chord. All right, so then item A, I'm just gonna demonstrate for you because this is something you can work on at home. This example is purposely put it so that you have to jump really far on the keyboard. All right, so the fact that you have to play an E, so I'm going to play, release, move, up, down, move. So my hands actually, I play the note like a quarter note, and then I'm already moving. I'm using beats 2 and 3 to move to my next chord, but it sounds like I am still holding on to it. Releasing, up, down, I'm moving my hand, up, down, I'm moving my hand. So your hands are constantly moving around, and that's how pianists are able to get from chord to chord, and it sounds like we're holding on to things and making things very legato. Alright, so that would be something that I could work on. Alright, go ahead and come out of your headphones. Alright, and go and slide your lids closed. So yes, there are etudes for the piano that focuses on pedaling, right? So whether it's a long pedal, where you're just listening, this interview was just push the pedal down and just listen to all the sound, just build on top of one another. And there are etudes where you're changing every beat, right? Every beat is where you end up doing what we call a shuffle pedal, because your feet are moving so fast, you're just to clean up the sound, right? Especially if you're changing harmonies really quickly. If it's really our foot answers to our ears, to what we hear, right? And also if our chord changes, our pedal changes. That's usually what guides when we do pedal changes. If you're looking at a piece of music or the harmonization exercises, if it doesn't give you a pedal marking, it doesn't mean that you don't use pedal. You absolutely can, and then you change it when your chord changes. Alright, so taking a look at what I wrote on the board. So we're actually they're finger exercises, they're finger etudes, but we're not going to worry about what note it is that we're playing. I want you to focus on your hand shape, where your wrist is. Alright, so you're actually going to do it just on the tip of the edge as of where your keyboard is. Okay. So I know it's at a little bit of an angle, but it should be just fine. You should still be able to keep your wrist nice and flat on top. Alright. And let's do the first measure of the right hand and say the finger numbers as we do it. Okay? You pretend they're 8 notes. So 1, 2, ready, go. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do it 1, 1. And you're tapping your fingers along. 1, 2, ready, go.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, tap the one on the left hand. 1, 2, ready, go.
3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Lovely. Do your right hand and go right into your left hand. 1, 2, ready, go.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3.
Go to your left hand.
5, 3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, again, you're just connecting finger numbers with what's actually happening, right? Because sometimes we'll say 1, but we go the other direction. Taking away the nose and just making sure that you're following your finger numbers. Yeah? Let's try the second bar over at the right hand. 1, 2, ready, go.
3, 5, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Nice, left hand, second bar. 1, 2, ready, go.
3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. Who sees what the connection is between the right hand pattern and the left hand pattern?
They're opposite directions. They're going in opposite directions.
Are you talking about the finger numbers?
Yeah, the finger.
The finger numbers, yeah, right? So Because the finger numbers are going in opposite directions, that actually means your hands are moving in parallel directions, absolutely. Right, so what we have here is what we call an imitation. Right, your right hand's doing one pattern, your left hand is copying that pattern and doing it at the same time, right? Find my adapter. Okay, so I actually pulled this little finger exercise off of the web, off of our website, PDM Piano. It's actually the pattern of echoing. So this is listed under our chapter 2, under extra repertoire. So one good way to practice piano repertoire too actually is just to figure out what finger patterns you need to play with and just remove the notes, right? Because a lot of times it's this stuff, right? 'Cause I think one time I was telling Austin when I was working with you, because we know what it should sound like, so when it doesn't sound like it or we play a wrong note, it's really irritating to us, right? We go, I give up, right? But if you're just doing finger patterns, if you get a wrong finger number, at least it's not as caustic to our ears. It's just a wrong finger number and then you'll fix it, right? So you have a less tendency to just throw things out the window. It's like, can't play this, right? Okay, so I just want to take a look at, that's literally what we were just playing. 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the left hand does the same thing in an imitation. So echoing, imitation. All right, there's one more musical term I wanted to toss in just because of this example. Right, so on beat 1 of measure 2, notice that as your right hand is ending, your left hand is starting. What's the musical term?
Elision.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so not only is Louis Kohler here, he's using imitation, he's also using elision, where you get voices that will overlap on one another. It's another way of him saying, we want to make sure that this flows from your right hand to your left hand in a very smooth manner. Yeah, exactly. Right. So if you want to pull this up on the website, you can certainly play the notes. It's not that interesting of an etude, so, but it's there. I mean, have you heard the Chopin etude? This is nothing. I'm also not going to throw a Chopin etude at you, so that would be kind of awesome.
Andrew could do
Yeah, some practice, I think you could do.
7 years, yeah.
At least, get out the first couple lines, because it's deceiving. The first page, it always doesn't look too bad, and
Then you turn the page.
then you turn the page and go, oh, hi, what is happening here? Yeah. Okay. All right, so what we have on your plan for today is we have a lot of theory that we're going to go over. Again, it's just building on the chords that you guys already know. And then also, we can hop into, we have this great arrangement of Amazing Grace. That's for a keyboard ensemble, so we'll take a look at that as well. But before we do that, I know we don't have, I know Paul's not here, I haven't heard from him. But, yes, actually, yeah. I would love for you guys to chat with your learning partners about your jury experience and just kind of what happened and also your score. So if you just take a couple seconds and chat about it, if you wouldn't mind talking to Jenny about it, that'd be great.
Because we just
you can just
see
join them on the
this
conversation.
only in one hand, and
Yeah.
then it only played it on one hand. She was like, that's supposed to be 2 hands. And I was like,
Jury.
oh, you're right.
Heard it.
But I don't.
Listen.
Yeah, I hit a ball once and I got a piece and I was like, and just kept going.
Yeah.
That was everything else was really easy. So I just made that one mistake. Only played it on one hand and I was like,
I was playing.
that wasn't that stressful either.
But I
It's the same thing, it's just measure time, so she kept playing on it.
I guess I like rolled it
Reset myself.
and
Yeah, I probably was like a little elementary, so I would say that was, I was like, oh, I have a piano under pressure.
Oh, yeah.
So that was like, well, like
all in your head.
in high school, I knew where like all the notes were and like how to play like some scales, but then nothing else. It was like the first time like actually being able to like read the music.
But,
I never like.
Do you find this easy for?
Like I heard some of it, I like just because of my theory knowledge, like all the chords and stuff like I just know it like I learned it since sophomore year in high school. But like giving the hand coordination and stuff like that's still like it's hard for me to play stuff in the right hand and then try to do it in the left hand at the same time. I can't. It's so hard. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and looking
Sometimes you just
at
gotta.
the
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's still it's just on your head all the
Yeah.
times, yeah.
Yeah.
So there
There's like
was,
chords and water and then the top.
there was a melody.
Yep.
Cause like they had one that was
Yeah.
Yeah, more or less, I'm not.
Yeah, when I first
There
started
was one that was
bass
parallel.
when I was like
I guess
in
it's
high
a little
school,
more-
I always like really did to and we did just down the third, down the third, down the third, and then like eventually it became second hand and now it just like, you know.
Well, I can play one or the other.
You're right, exactly. Which one you're gonna concentrate
Yeah,
on.
I don't even, I think I switched.
But,
I was like,
yeah, no, that's not true.
top line and it's like, no, we should practice this. I don't know.
It took a while, but I could figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
It's a big thing.
You have a sponge for
I got that. Like, you might.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Like that's something, I don't really see it ever, so like when I do see it, I'm like, I actually have to think it, and I think of it in like transposing wise, so like if I'm I'll be like, oh, that's up a step, that's down a step, and I just read everything like that, rather than like, alright, this is a C now. That's what.
So how do you transpose what's your thinking of the bass class?
Well, with the bass clef, if you look at it, everything is just, so everything is down a third. So this is D, F sharp, A. But if you think about it in treble, then you just read as everything down a third. That's how I'm a trumpet player, so I transpose all the time, so it just comes natural to me. So then this one is, yeah, so this one's E, G sharp, B. I just think of everything up, what note would this be up a
So we
third?
did.
And then eventually it got two time consuming.
I know we take some classes, brass
So like on
classes,
this,
like
Yeah, same for me, because I like
teaching classes, how to teach this instrument.
like I was pointing
This
out.
is this step. So we should learn like vaguely, so in general, everything.
Then we'd say,
Yeah.
It's like the way I measure.
but it's bass class, so that actually
Yeah.
and then on the piano.
It was interesting. It was a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then on here, it's just.
Yeah.
Not the sincerity.
Okay, I remember that, I'm gonna study that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we take classes for that, yeah, so it's, yeah, so we'll,
Yeah.
some professors will take for string class that you can
Operating English.
Yeah.
Yeah, they want us to just know a little bit like the whole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The rest of it is actually
Yeah.
somewhat.
I would like to learn.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Like I think it was an advantage for me that I took this here in 2 years of college. I had so like when I came in, so this like theory, so like the whole first semester for me, so I do everything I learned in high school, so just like easy. So that's good to get after like I can do something there.
Yeah, but we had to have it memorized.
Oh, yeah,
Think about how many change
She was.
text and whether or not it's
How long was you, are you doing any performances like this?
like, I had to come in
A lot of people find it either really boring or really fun, so.
We all get
Like my one professor like loves theory so much, and I was really into it, and then I find it like some of the things are really fun and some of the things I find boring.
I don't think it would be 12 minutes.
It's the beginning.
What's
Oh, I can't wait to start having fun. Still trying to understand it. It's not coming easy with old boy. Thank God for the internet. What did you do? 30 years ago when I was going to school, we didn't know from that website. Yeah, the encyclopedia. Britannica got to go to the library. You had to go to the library.
It's used to
From the beginning. Yeah, the internet's really useful for never confused us.
Yeah, I know
Just
it.
go on the internet and just type it in on YouTube and someone has like a tutorial.
I love eavesdropping on you guys, and then also the college student, I'm gonna send you guys another survey about the race, so I can hear more detail about, what you guys did. But Kevin, what rep did you choose?
I did study in D.
Yeah, what about you, Andrew?
Good, so.
Studying
Study in D.
A little joke.
Ah, there we go. All right, so I remember the study in D, so I went, oh yeah, there we go, there's another one, right? So again, they had choice of which rep they wanted to do from the ones that we had covered. And then, so what was the one that you felt you aced when you went in and not?
Me? Well, I'm trying to remember the whole way. I felt surprising, I guess, there was one that I felt very confident on, and that was transposing. And I thought I did that really well, but for some reason I thought, like, I was really worried about chord progression harmonization, and like that just came through really easily, and I was like, what the heck? So I did not expect it to like go that smooth.
I'll take it, right? And I was
Yeah.
like, just take a run with it, right? Kevin, you had mentioned that transposition is super easy for you.
Yeah.
Because of your instrument and the nature of what you do all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Just use the C trumpet.
Yeah. I used to trumpet in orchestra, so.
It's so hard for me, it's a mind jumble for me. Oh, just give me what's written.
It took me a while.
So, yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
back when I was like in junior year, my private trumpet teacher studied with like this trumpet teacher who was like hammered transposition, like he's well known for transposition. So one time I was supposed to like learn a piece that was written it was written in C and I was gonna play it on E flat trumpet, so I had to read it down in minor third. And I just butchered it really bad, and he got so mad at me, he handed me manuscript paper, made me rewrite the whole piece. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've done that with my other classes before.
Yeah, that's true.
Not in a mad way, but as a, write it down, it's gonna help you.
Yeah.
You can see so essentially when we're transposing, you're visualizing what needs to be played, right? So yes, having to write it down, that's the very smart way to go.
Yeah.
You figured out what it is that you're doing, right?
Yeah.
And then looking at it intervallically, because you're right, there's no time to, what you're saying, you think your bass club, go up there, there's no time for that. You've already 2 measures beyond where you need to be, right? Absolutely. Kat, what's something that you did a really good job on?
I felt like my rep was really good just because I was practicing it a lot.
Yeah. So actually where you guys are headed is, so here's some of the items you knew ahead of time, at least which ones. You had a couple options, right? But for the 4th semester piano students, everything is sight reading, everything. So that's kind of where it's headed if you are on the 4th semester track for this particular class. Reagan, what about you? What's something that just went over really well?
I think the sight reading went pretty well.
Very cool. Yeah. Nice.
She's fat, check.
I know.
She's fact.
Now, wait a second.
I don't know about that. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. Kevin, what about you?
About sight reading and transposition.
Yeah, those strong suits. Andrew.
Yeah, I was happy with my rep and my transposition.
Cool. That's really interesting. Because I get a lot of, I think, harmonization tends to be a little rough for most people, right? And that was one that we just barely touched on, and so that's kind of where we're headed today. We're gonna check out another harmonization. But congratulations on your first jury. You know, it's very different from your own juries where it's your instrument and you're super confident walking in. But it's hopefully, yeah, you guys are talking about your own juries. Whoa, did you practice enough? But it's very different. I commend you guys for going into jury with an instrument that's not yours. They certainly don't make me walk into a jury with a violin or a saxophone. So, is it fair? I don't know. Alrighty. Let's hop over to page 53. Yes, right. Talking more about theory, more about chords, because all of Western music is based on chords. All right, so just getting a stronger understanding of how harmony works, how chords move from one to another. All right. Unplug your headphones. And yes, now we're just working on chords. If you're brave, add your pedal while you're at it. Right? It can all be overlapped, certainly. Okay. Alrighty, let's just play through that first item right there. You're moving in root position chords with your right hand. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. Move. Move. Down to G. Back to C. And that's it right there. Alright? Alright, so that direction up there says, in the left hand, double the roots of the triad and play the progression with hands together. Let the left hand also move in fourths. Let me go back a second. So you have a C chord, you have an F chord, and you have a G chord. Okay? So, if you're moving in fourths only, so you have your, let me plug my piano. You'll have a C. If you're to move in fourths, which way would you go to get up to an F? I just gave you the answer. Go up to an F. Alright? And then, moving in fourths, how are you going to get to the G chord?
Down.
Go down to a G. Absolutely. Okay. And go ahead and adjust your fingering so you can get to all three of those root notes without moving. Right, so those are the three notes that we need. So notice that in your, yeah, good. Stop playing for a second. Thank you. So we have a fourth in the bottom, G to C. And we have a fourth from C to F. All right. So then I would use 5 and 2 because it's a fourth and you've got 4 fingers. So we'll do 2, 5, and then we'll use our thumb to stretch for that upper 4. All right. So that's a lot of times, anytime we need to play something more than an octave, we stretch with our opposable thumbs versus stretching with our 4th and 5th, because that's just not comfortable. All right. So you have a 5 on the G, play the G, 2 on the C, and 1 on the F. Nice. Oh, overtones. All right, here we go. So adding your left hand to this little progression. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Up. Move. Move. Got some funky harmonies in there. Let's do that once more. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Up to F. 2, 3. C. 2. Move. 2. Move. There we go. Now this time we have the correct harmonies. Alright, so make sure you're playing a chord in the right hand and just the bass note in the root of the chord in your left hand. Alright, so we need that coordination. Because as a harmonization, that's what you're doing. Alright, and actually, I wanted to show you guys later. I picked up an awesome gig over the weekend. I went into a recording studio to play for a singer. It was a pop song, and so I ended up playing chords, just harmonizing exactly what you guys do, but I got a chord in the right hand and a bass note in the left hand, and I got paid money to do that. I mean, come on. I could do that in my sleep. It was great. Alrighty, so we have this chord progression here. Where are we going with this? Okay, so play that progression again, and I'm actually going to do part of what you guys will do on Thursday, is I'm going to improvise a melody on top of it. It's not gonna sound like much of a melody because I'm only using one particular note in each measure, and I'll tell you guys what note I'm using later. All right? So, same thing, 2 hands with a bass line. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I lost track of my counting, but that was it. Right, so I'm just simply, the note that I was playing the third of each triad. So in bar 1, I was playing an E, doing some kind of rhythm with it. In bar 2, which note would I have been using? The A. Right. I'm using the third of the chord, and then back to the E, to the B, to the E. All right, and we'll talk about that in a second. All right, but the cool stuff is the closest position. Andrew, I saw you doing this earlier, so it makes a whole lot of sense as keyboardists to use close position chords. All right, so take a look at the one right below it. It's the same progression. All right, but you'll notice that you're not moving very much because you can use the same notes from chord to chord, and it's the same with giving the same. All right? Yeah, so with just your right hand, play that root position chord. You can keep your thumb on the C. Now move your 3 and 5 over. And you're in an F chord. Okay. Now move your 3 and 5 back. Ooh, yeah. Here we go. Now for the 5, move your thumb down to a B. Use your second finger on the D. And use your 5th finger. Okay. Why my second finger and not my 3rd finger?
So that you can play the 1 and 3.
True. So that, okay.
That wasn't.
So this guy right there, you're close. It's all certainly related, right? So I'm using 1, 2, 5. And my question was, well, why 2? Why can't I use 3? Notice that 2 to 5 is a 4th. So D, which is why I would use a 2 instead of a 3, because that my hand just it's already stretching, and I kind of go, oh, this isn't super comfortable. Keep your 4th whenever you can. And then that actually also makes it so you can go back to your C chord very easily. 2, 3. Good. Write in those finger numbers if you think you need to remember it. And let's play through the closest position version. And we're going to say the finger numbers before we play them. Right? So 1, 2, 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 5. 1, 3, 5. Yeah, throw the left hand in there. Just for the coordination. I was in 4/4 one night. Oh yeah, let's play this in 4/4. So 1, 2, 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 5. 1, 3, 5. You can go on your headphones and go through that and actually do it in, so it's written in C. Do it in D major. Do it in D major. Let's figure out which keys. See if it feels any different. Can you use the same finger numbers? So I'm still using my right hand.
Okay.
So then I have the C chord in the back. Okay. With my left hand, 2, 1, 2, 5. music and from G to C as your fourth. So just keep a finger on each one of those strokes with my thumb.
Okay, thank you.
You see how I can literally see your joints kind of stretching, so use 2 on me.
That's why.
And it's even more awkward when there's a black key involved. Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yeah, so I had you guys do it in the key of D major, because there are black keys involved, right? So then all of a sudden, with that black keys, you can actually feel even more why finger numbers matter when you're playing chords, right? Because then all of a sudden, in D major, this is fine, that's not a problem, it's all white keys. And then going to that 5 chord, right? If you're to use 1, 3, 5, that spacing that you have in between the notes and make your hands get put in an even more awkward shape. So 1, 2, 5 will just flatten your hand out, and it's a much healthier spacing that you're playing your chord with. All right. Okay. All right. So yes, she actually. So Kelly says you want to be able to do these in all the white key majors. So C major, D major, D major, F major. Right. We'll do some of them in class and some of them do on your own. Right. Again, it's just getting used to how that feels as we're shifting from chord to chord. And notice that you may have to think about the chords a little bit more, but your hands don't really have to move anymore, right? Whereas before you were doing big leaps that you had to really watch out for. That closest position is definitely the way to go. Okay, so you look at item 2. Okay, so now we're talking about, some of you guys had actually already done it before, talking about the dominant chord, that dominant 7, all right? Their example is in the key of C major. What's your 5th chord? It's going to be a G major. There we go. Okay. So in the key of C major, your 5th chord is going to be a G major. All right. And then notice, so when it's a 5/7 chord, it becomes a 4-note chord. All right. And that F just makes it's a lot more colorful than just a simple G major chord. And then we like that F. It sounds really good. All right. Where that 7 comes from, especially, does anyone know where that 7 comes from? What that 7 represents?
It's the 7th of the chord.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So if you're thinking if G is my root, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the note that you're adding. So the 4th note you're adding is literally the 7th interval away from your root. And then your other 2. Okay, so your chord, add a 7. Okay. Notice that, so under item 2, we sort of have a part that says plus a minor 7. Okay. Because if you're thinking G, B, D, F, it could actually also be G, B, D, F sharp. That's a whole nother chord. And that would be if you, let me switch to sharps here. This would literally be, if it was an F sharp, it would be a major 3rd. It's a very bright sounding, right? Versus, that would be a minor, so G, B, D, F. So your dominant 7th chord, it sounds like a major chord on the bottom, and then there's a little minor on top. So major, minor quality. That's just for dominant chords, right? No other chords, unless you alter pitches, will have that sound. It's a dom 7 is one that musicians and composers will. Our music has gravitates toward dominant 7ths and then resolve themselves to a one chord. Okay. Alrighty. On the very bottom, there's a blank space worksheet type thing. Alright. So notice that in the first example, you want to find the key that you're in. And then think about what the 5th note is. Little 5 chord, tab 7. Alright. So we're going to put you guys in pairs and see if you guys can go and figure out the other 3 and write them in. Alright. Notice, read the directions for what exactly they're asking you to do. Notice that things are not static. It's not a four-tier circle. It's a little bit different than the voicing, how we see it in our music. Could you go back and join me? Yeah, will you come join Jen?
Hello.
So that
Hi.
second
Oh,
part
okay, I
there.
didn't know from on it first, I was like, what?
Good. Somebody that knows
Your
something.
mic's, okay, that's fine.
Oh, sorry, now.
I'm sorry.
I was like,
Yeah.
what?
So, our first note, Keisha.
Up top, yep.
Up top?
Yep.
Okay.
Keisha, for the left hand, 27.
Oh, for that third.
The third will be the.
So you go straight up to. So you
Might
need
be
some
with
help.
the third. Higher in the right.
Yeah.
So we're doing
So with this,
the bottom of that page.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
so with this,
Okay.
yeah, so with this.
Where
C,
you can find.
So,
So
line.
the
you'll
third is
make
probably
the
more
third
five
key,
steps,
so-
and that means
So
C
that
sharp.
key will be this right
In the
here.
top.
and then with
Yeah.
this
So then, what's the third note of G sharp?
What
And
key
this
is
is called.
So what
Yeah.
chord is being
Yep, so
played?
then you start with E.
Yes.
And when you're omitting
One,
Yeah.
go.
the
So then.
What
G
key?
sharp, what's the
Treble
five?
is
I think everything's supposed to go in the bass and then we move the.
So you don't have the 3, but what's the 5?
Mhm.
So this
But you
one's
have
already
it
done.
down, right?
So we need to do the five.
No, that one's already done.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay,
then
that's.
what's the third? So it's E at the bottom.
With that,
So we got down the bottom.
and then
Yeah.
what's on top of those three?
Yeah, so we got,
I just did it.
Wait, no, you sort of, you
So,
did it right out.
the A to be right.
But you could do it instead, you could do that there. And then just
Yeah,
put it
so-
below.
Remember, bass note.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Right, because this is the
So,
five.
which key
Oh,
part
okay.
of the chord
What's
is
the
missing?
key signature?
so we're doing A major,
So we gotta
right?
find the
Okay.
five.
I can get it.
of
Yes.
the-
Yeah.
So that's the part that
A
I'm
major.
missing.
So that's the major.
And then,
Yeah, it is. That's
G sharp.
So there's G sharp.
Yeah.
Not either of
Yeah,
them.
it's the second.
The 5.
Yep.
Hopefully. It could also help us on the bottom.
Oh,
That's
so
it.
this is supposed to be
And then
five.
that's why I wanted to
Okay,
try
I
to
didn't know
third.
that.
Yeah, so actually we're gonna
See,
do,
That makes a lot more
I understand how to play
we're
it.
doing a 7.
You
So-
can understand how to play a dominant seven, right?
Like, we have an A, so we have to find a 5. So
Yep.
A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So that means that our
So for
rest
this
of
one,
the seventh chord.
Yeah.
So then we're gonna build a 7 chord on the E.
You go
So now we do
from scale
another.
to 5, so it's
What about in the
Where's
treble?
the E?
So now we're doing
Alright.
A,
So far,
Yeah,
it's
okay.
technically, well, it's gonna be
so that's
a
your 5.
G,
So that'll be the bass note.
Yep.
That's how you
because we
know
omit
what kind of.
the.
So what
And then
that's
that E would work.
Bass
You're skipping the
yeah.
third,
Yeah.
and then the third above that.
So on the
Yep,
higher
and
pitches.
so then the third's there.
Whatever is from that first
So then,
key signature.
now this is F major.
In this case, it's
What's the 5?
So
E,
in the
G
next
sharp,
one,
B.
what's the key signature?
So it would be
Okay,
E
and
and
then
go to
that's your-
F and G.
that's
So
your
it's like a
finger.
triad.
Have 7.
Is C, so draw C,
Yeah,
on
that's
bass.
perfect.
And if the instructions want us to
So that's
put the
what-
third an octave higher, so you
We'll learn.
have to
I don't know if you,
So with this, will we write this out like this?
Three choices, right?
Yeah,
Look
just
like an
don't write anything in the middle.
So then
Why am I
the
not writing
third
anything
above
in the
C
middle again?
is.
Because that's the third note, last third note, and
So
they
then
want
you
to
have
put the third note
If
in
you
the
memorize
middle.
deceptive,
in the
it'll help you
And
when
then,
it's.
you write
we're gonna add
that.
gender,
Major and
Um,
Because we're working on
and that's
this.
going to be.
Yep.
And
Yeah. So it's
Then
just
you finish the five
Sure,
and
yeah, that's
seven.
right, I have it
Is
drawn.
always in the bass
you
clef.
ever try to do an F major too?
E and then,
Yeah, I mean, we'll try to do a third.
well, G.
So that's,
You
Yeah.
go C,
So
E,
we-
G.
That's
that's E on the bottom.
So then, C.
Not F,
Yeah.
C.
Yeah,
It's a C.
having issues remembering.
Then you're gonna, since you have the E in the treble clef, you
Oh,
skip it.
sorry.
Andrew
So
is
skip
Oh,
a
yes,
space.
this is right.
Then the next space
Yeah.
is G.
Engineering professor.
And then the space above that is a B.
Senior in high
Perfect.
school.
So that's your five,
Like,
seven,
So we
four,
look
and
for,
F.
and then we look for the
So
faucet.
now X key is.
So the next key
Yep.
is,
And so then
And
we'll
the
do
black
all
G.
of that.
and so fifth, eleven, and F.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then you write a D in the bass clef.
Yeah, I always count, it would be a C.
Yep.
Specifically.
Then the third above D is,
Okay, I can do that.
It does.
So what is this?
and the fourth, third above
C,
D
it's gonna
is.
go on the bass, I guess. And with the triad for a C,
So that-
C, E,
So,
G.
Yep, so then you can.
Yeah, so it started on F, so now we're looking at five, so now we're on.
But since we don't want the third to be there, we
Then
use
you
the
put
right.
This
the
helps
other,
you
And
memorize.
so
the
we have the
fifth,
C and the G.
and then the seventh, you put a bass clef.
So,
Yeah.
what is the key signature of C? Remember there's a B flat.
What do you mean? Fifth
What are
would
the
be
actual
D,
ones?
would be
Oh, no, we have a
The
seven
alter pitches, that's.
above the.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's all white.
you have, so in a way, you could think of it as,
Change.
alright, I need to make a D7 chord, so
Yeah,
D,
that's it right there.
F,
And go up
A,
and higher.
C.
To what?
Just erase
So
the
you have
F
the
and
E that
move
was
it there.
supposed to be G.
And G
That's what
major,
they're,
So it's
doing.
gonna go in the treble clef.
Oh.
and then go to the six.
Awesome, so then we look for the fifth. and
Yep, and then the chord above that. Yep, yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So it would sound, it would sound
So
like.
it's the key of
On G.
plus, the key of G.
Yep, that's it right there.
And then the
And
main
then the F appears up.
And that's just to make
And
it.
what is
Yeah.
the fifth of
That's
the?
it.
And so this comes in.
That makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
so you ought to put that extra, this one try. So then if
Yeah.
you D,
And triad.
Yes.
or a D.
Yeah.
I think I'm getting
Yeah, seven, they're seven.
because
And
G
F sharp, which is
already
already
had the
They're
F
usually good at
The
it.
keys are actually, so we don't
Yeah,
have to
'cause
say that.
it's the fifth of time.
And then it goes to an A.
Yeah, of course. And then it
And
says,
so, since the
Then,
F
in
is
order
gonna
to
be the
make this
third,
major,
we just
you could
ignore the
do
F,
C.
and we put it
Yeah,
in
that was
the
the-
treble clef instead.
and then it says that we don't,
D. So you get
a
that.
lot of times we don't play the third.
That's
So with the left hand, we just play one.
What the circle of this helps you
And then
is
F,
if you
and
go
then we
through
have
it,
A, and then we
Yeah,
put in the seventh, we just
essentially
put it
what
to
it's-
So we're gonna be
the,
in the fifth, right? So
so
it's
it's
gonna
helpful, you can see. And then you go up with it.
you got this.
I'm acting like I got
Yeah.
this.
And then you could keep A,
Yeah, I think we'll talk.
B,
It just says often the third time.
all
With
the
the
way.
C sharp.
So this tells you why it's
Then it
helpful.
goes
So
to
we're in A
E,
major.
no, E and
And
C.
then
Then you
fifth
can
and A major.
that's
is
three
G.
sharps.
G.
So what's the
Oh, sorry,
one?
E, E, G sharp.
Then you take C sharp.
Yeah. It's that simple. It's that simple. That's great. I love hearing you say that. And then you're in the key of F. The fifth note is your C.
The C sharp from F D major.
Yeah, so then make sure on this guy, this particular, make
Yeah,
sure
I'm on
you
G.
write flat side
I'm
next to it.
G on G.
And then
Yeah, right there.
F
Yeah.
sharp.
Right, on the music, the B flat is already there, but on the letter, you gotta write it
Yeah,
flat.
Yeah, just to get.
Just a flat.
The same thing.
Back to
Yeah.
that first.
Yeah, it
G
can,
major.
So you
So
can
pretty much
go
we're just,
Yeah.
remember,
we're just moving this, where this
which
a
is
lot,
just
it's a
that
lot of
progression.
moving
you
that.
have to go through the process over and over.
And when
What
you
is that?
find
Yep.
So get rid of the M,
Is that?
because if you write alone, musicians will read that as G minor. So just a capital G.
Just a capital G,
Yeah.
okay, forget the M.
Yeah.
Oh.
Instead of doing fifths though, you
Hit
do
a
fourths.
D and a D after our A's.
Essentially,
Yeah,
there's
perfect.
no difference between this. They're the same note, it's going down.
I guess if you do something over and over and over again, like run the bike.
Yeah,
And then you
but,
do
like certain music there, you would have
So you
to write
could do
out
the same
different separate
exact
chords, and
process.
we wouldn't get
Just
the.
thinking about it in
signatures, so we'd have to
sharps.
write the accidentals, like,
Because,
everything.
like, I'm following
I have
my
so much
sex
trouble
phones.
with that.
You think of it in sharp.
So it's nice having the key signature.
Oh, well, if I'm D major.
See, I'm still learning the key signature.
Yeah, C sharp to D, so it's like you raise that pitch in order
I
to
know
get
the
back to
sharp
this.
part, but
But if you think about it, flat, essentially.
Yeah, the only key signatures I do coming in,
Okay, yeah.
just here is C and a G.
Actually, so theoretically, you guys have it on paper,
Yeah, it's
so
the
on your
same.
headphones,
Oh, yeah,
you
the
can
sevens.
hear what that sounds like, right?
See
So the
that,
5/7 won't go
just
to
because I
a
have.
Yeah, this is.
Alright, so making
So
sure,
you could.
because that 5/7
Counting
wants to go to
flats.
a one.
Just
One
like that,
meaning
C
you
flat.
play this
That's
chord and then you play
C
it.
flat,
It doesn't have.
D flat,
Play
E
C
flat.
chord,
And
C7.
then with the right hand, we can play the third.
You'll hear that musically, it gets, they're like magnets, they want to go together.
Yeah.
Only pair your keyboards
Right.
like.
It's not as, well, you can't do that for.
Oh, they are here.
Yeah.
This is helpful.
When you play the chords, it feels like it needs to go somewhere.
Okay, I heard yours too.
This will be helpful.
One of the last
It
one.
feels like it needs to go somewhere.
One child to go.
Oh, well, that's will be on.
Alright, first one we're doing an E.
And this is very helpful too, 'cause you
Oh, you're.
Fives and the one are like magnets.
Yeah.
scales too. It's just that
Because
it
when you
just
have a
changes
seven,
based on what.
sevens, when you naturally play the seven on the scale,
So we gotta keep
You
in
use
mind.
this.
the
it doesn't sound right. It wants to go.
Yes, so starting in G,
Yeah.
it's like a five.
People
Yeah.
who use the 5/7,
Didn't write
they
them
bring it
down.
to the one chord
So
most
we don't have
of the
any.
time.
Exactly what it's
Like,
like.
And so now we make the trial on.
See how C sharp.
And bring it,
They share that.
because seven has to resolve to one.
Chord with our
Right,
right
it's
hand.
going to 7/6.
You know, that's.
That's like the
Oh,
the
right.
basic thing is you
So
can
we started with G, right?
Yeah.
And
The
then we
nice
count
thing
up
is,
five.
oh,
Yeah.
so you use whichever
And so then we're
side.
gonna make it off of D,
So,
not off of G.
so now let's put
Yeah,
this. That one's D major. Now it's A. So then what would this one?
So you do the 1, 5.
Play, she said play the chord.
And see, just like, just now
And
understand.
then we put that
I
third in.
think
Okay.
just
So that's really
play
cool. So
in our right hand, so it's kind of hard to stretch these.
F
that
sharp.
would be a good foundation point for sure.
Yeah.
Because you can't
Yeah.
understand a dominant chord until you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, we have a
It
E.
gets all confusing when you're in one key and another key.
So what's that called?
Uh-huh.
This is the,
Oh.
I don't know what its formal name is, I know it is.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Yeah,
Yes.
that's it.
If you go around the sharps,
Take
and
this
then if
down
you
of the finance.
We're doing
go
the
around
first
the
one.
Oh, we're doing the second one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
just to get how the notes, if you still went up,
I also know how
if
to
you
play
started
this.
from like this C flat,
Yeah.
that would be fifths. So, I don't know, do you have a better, is there an actual name for this besides?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That would be, I'm actually,
Alrighty, you guys come out of your headphones.
I know we can do this, but that's a very important mistake.
Yes, and actually, Sue's just about
I used to know
that.
how to properly
Redo those.
Yeah.
That's just like,
Yeah. It's-
alrighty, okay, so
Yeah.
there's a lot of theory talk, right? You're throwing pitches in every single direction. You're switching keys every single bar, right? You're like, ooh, right? But the comfort thing is, that's all this music is, right? Whatever note you start on, find the 5. The 5/7 is going to draw itself back to 1, right? Those two are magnetized. And so, just because we're short on time, so, oh, let me put this. Right, so now on the one that's given to you, there's your 5/7. It wants to go, then every single piece you hear, then it sounds like we're at home, right? So the same thing with, right? That doesn't sound like an ending, right? It's just hanging there. Right? And there's like a relief. It's gotta go somewhere. It wants to go home. Same thing with, what's our next one? We're in the key of G major, go to D, and let's go to the G major. Okay? So you certainly play around with that and just hear, because really, being able to notate it is one thing, but it's all oral, right? We want this chord to go to a certain place. It has they all have their own tendencies, right? So we're going to take that 5/7 chord and take a look at page 55. Let's see where that 5/7 comes in when we're harmonizing. We're going to look at item C on page 55. So this is like the example that the college students, you guys were prepping for your jury, right? You have a melody. Now we got to figure out what chords to put with it. Right? Here's that little melody. What's it right there? Ooh. Their 4-bar phrase didn't end on a 5. Notice? Yeah. Ooh, they broke the rule. They're supposed to end on a 5, make it sound like a phrase. Right? They should have ended on a D, and then it would make a lot more sense for the ending to end on a G. That's okay. The British, they don't know what to do. Okay, so this example, it uses 2 chords. It uses the 1 chord and uses the 5 chord, 5/7, if you will. All right. So knowing that, actually, let's try that first line. Go ahead and put on your headphones. Okay. So I'm going to play that melody for you. But again, you have 2 chord choices. It's going to be either a G major chord, or it's going to be a D major 7 chord, D7. So you can do this with your, let's see which one we're going to do it. We're going to have you do a bass note in the left hand and the chord in your right hand, just like we were doing a couple exercises ago. So it would be like this. All right, so now that you have a 1 chord, find what your 5 chord would be. Using closest position, if possible. So here's your G major, go up to the 5, so you're looking for a D7 chord. Alright, so take a look at my visualizer here. So if my right hand starts in a root position chord, my closest position would actually be right there. So I have my D, and I have my F sharp, A. Oh, there's my C, sorry, let's do it that way. Okay, so D, F sharp, the A I'm not going to worry about. Let's see. Yeah, let's have you play all 4 notes. It'll be a little bit more clear. Right? So all 3 notes of it. I'm going to keep that D, but I'm going to mush the other notes into the ones that I need. Right? So that's a closest position to go from a 1 chord to a 5/7. And you'll need to explode this to figure out how it's comfortable in your hand. To a D chord, back to a G chord. Alright. So just playing a chord, one of those 2, on the downbeats of each measure. See if you can figure, we'll just try out something, see if it sounds good with the 1 chord, if it sounds good with the 5/7 chord, in the first 4 bars. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Try a different one. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So you may have come across one that doesn't work quite as well, maybe it works really well, you can play around with that. Alright, this melody is certainly simple enough that you guys could put the melody in your right hand and then do a full chord in the left hand, which is actually what the book says. So we need to be able to do both ways, so with you playing the melody with the chord in the left hand, and then also if you're just doing a two-handed accompaniment, based on the left hand or the right hand. Alright? Our classes are always too short, I don't know if I talk too much or what. But let's assign really quickly your parts for Amazing Grace so that we can play it. Alright, so I know Andrew's really comfortable on the piano. What's his feeling pretty comfortable on the piano? Reagan? Yeah, okay, cool. So Andrew and Reagan, you guys play part 5 and 6 together, right? They're both in the bass club, you should go read them together. Alright? And then that leaves, so then for the rest of us, we're gonna pick either part 1, part 2, part 3, or part 4. Alright, I think we have enough to have 2 people on each part. So Kat, which part would you like?
Can I do part 1?
So Kat's part 1. Like, Jeannie, which part would you like? 2, 3, or 4?
Part 4.
4? And Kevin, what would you like?
2.
2, you got the melody. DJ, what would you like? 3. Jenny, we're on page 58. Okay, so Andrew, you're gonna do 5 and 6. So Jenny, we pick a part between 1 through 4. 4. 4? Yeah. Reagan, you're doing 5 and 6. Bill, which one would you like?
1.
1? Well, I had 3. And Austin, what would you like?
I'll go with Kevin.
Great. Wow, good memory.
The players always want the melody.
Alrighty. Okay, so then we'll hear how this beautiful gets harmonized by parts 5 and 6. It's in harmony notes with the other parts as well. Alright. 2 pages, got some repeats in there, but you're only responsible for your part. Okay, so take a look through it one time today. Take a picture. We do have a few more items that we're just going to bring through on Thursday as well. See you guys then. Thank you for your time. Sorry for keeping you over.